All right, you can be seated. Thank you so much. The Lord gives wisdom, but again, he gives it to the upright. He is a good God, and he loves to give to his people. This morning, we are primarily concerned with God giving or releasing wisdom to his people. Now, notice in verse 7, he says to us that he stores up sound wisdom for the upright. The type wisdom that God gives to his people is going to be sound wisdom. Let me give you three things for what it means when God releases wisdom into a person's life that is deemed to be sound wisdom. Number one, it means that the wisdom that God gives, its foundation is going to be firm. When God is releasing wisdom into your life, it's going to, again, be sound wisdom. It's going to be the type wisdom that is going to have a foundation that is firm or everlasting. In other words, when God releases wisdom into my life, according to Matthew 24:35, heaven and earth shall pass, but his words will by no means pass away. And so the wisdom that God gives to a person is something that is not going to easily, or it will never pass away. The bottom line is when God gives you sound wisdom, you can count on his word coming to pass. There are some people in here this morning that you have particular things, not because of how much you make an hour, but because you stood on sound wisdom and God came through for you. Oh, yeah. Let me keep dealing with it. Some of us have certain things not because our credit score was so wonderful or perfect, but we have certain things because we stood again on sound wisdom, and that wisdom that God gave did not pass away simply because a man or woman told us no in reference to us possessing a certain thing. Oh, I know I can testify this morning that even when God moved for me, I stood on sound wisdom, that God was not only going to bless me, but he had gave me a word that said, when I bless you, I'm going to give you favor in the sight of man. And so when I went to get a particular thing, God had already begun working in the midst of the situation, and he caused that thing to work out for my good. The bottom line is that God calls a person to do something for me that the person would normally not do for somebody. But I knew it was because I stood on sound wisdom. See, you can be happy this morning even though you might be going through a little something, because you know that the wisdom that God is releasing into your life is everlasting, or it's not going to fade away. Bottom line to all of this is that you know once God sends forth his word, it will not return unto him void. It will accomplish what he pleased, and it will prosper in the thing for which he sent it to do, according to Isaiah 55:11. Now the question this morning is, are you standing on sound wisdom? Are you standing on a word from God that you know is firm despite what's happening in our nation? Are you standing on the word that is so firm that despite whatever trial may come your way, it's not enough to cause you to back up off of the sound wisdom that you have been receiving? If I'm preaching to you already, go ahead and give God a praise for some sound wisdom, for a word whose foundation is firm, right? Number two, it has to do with the fact that when it comes to God's wisdom, his principles are solid or right. In other words, when I am abiding in sound wisdom, I'm walking in that which is right according to the eyes of God. This is important this morning because you have to be careful that you do not become deceived and you begin to look at things from man's wisdom and not out of the eye of the wisdom of God. See, God's wisdom is right. And So whenever I am walking in sound wisdom, I'm going to strive to do the right thing. How many love sound wisdom? How many love God telling you the right thing to do? And when it comes to sound wisdom, there is no limitation on the type wisdom that God can give you in your life, because he's such an awesome God that he's not just giving you spiritual wisdom. God's wisdom is right whether it's natural or spiritual. God will give you wisdom to handle a natural problem. God will give you instructions that will lead to good success with something you dealing with from a natural standpoint. See, you can't limit sound wisdom, because you can be wanting to know how to figure out a situation or how to just simply do something better. If you will begin to walk in sound wisdom, you will be amazed at how God will begin to direct your path and show you how to get things done in a more efficient way. Oh, can I break it down? God will show you how to save some money. Yes, he will. God will get into your bills, get into your financial portfolio, if you will, and show you a simpler way of how to do some things. Oh, you better high five somebody and say, show it right this morning. Oh, if you ever had God to help you with something natural, give him a praise right now. I mean, he gave you some good, natural, sound advice. Not nothing that's going to jack your life up. Not nothing that's going to make a situation worse. See, that's what I love about walking in sound wisdom, is that I know it's right or it's according to the word of God. Because some folk will give you wisdom that will jack up your life. I say some folks will give you wisdom that will mess the situation up or make it worse. But at the time they giving you the wisdom, they acted like it's going to change your life for the better. Oh, some of you didn't clap or say nothing, because you've been guilty of giving folks some jacked up wisdom, acting like it was going to be something that was going to really help them out. But when you knew you've been applying it to your life and it hadn't been helping you out, you should have kept that to yourself. Y'all know I'm right about it. Number 3, when you deal with sound wisdom, this is really important. You're dealing with the fact that divine wisdom is going to be healthy or beneficial. See, when I'm walking in sound wisdom, when I am applying knowledge and understanding that comes from above or from God, it is going to be healthy or beneficial. God's wisdom helps his people out. God's wisdom causes us to be better. Am I right? Now, when he gives this type of wisdom, remember that he's giving it to the upright. So who are the upright? Number 1, make no mistake about it, the upright is not perfect people, because there is not one perfect person in church this morning. If you are, go ahead and scream right now. If you that one perfect person that's in the house this morning and I have mistakenly overlooked you, why don't you just go ahead and make a whole lot of noise right now, and folk gonna see that you are not as wise as you think you are. How many would admit that you are not perfect? How many would go a step farther and admit that, Pastor, I'm not only perfect, but I don't know everything. I don't know how to do everything. I don't have, oh, some of your hand dropping. I don't have the answers to everything. Oh, tell somebody if it be true. Tell them, I know I don't know everything. Tell your neighbor, the reason I know I don't, tell your neighbor, from time to time, I mess up my own self. Ooh, wait, that hurt somebody to say that. You have to be willing to admit that you don't know everything. Because as long as you think you know everything, you don't need sound wisdom. But the moment you admit that I don't know everything, I don't have all of the answers, I can't fix everything that's broken, I can't heal everything that's hurting, you open up yourself to receive from a God that want to show you a better way to do something. The moment you admit that, Lord, I don't have the answer to this problem, but I know you do. And if I'll seek you diligently, you will drop the answer into my spirit that'll change my life. Oh, I'm all about better this year. I'm all about having the best year of my life. And if that's to happen, child of God, you have to admit that you don't know everything. Because it puts you in a good position to seek wisdom from above. Not in a book. Seek it from above first. And if God leads you to a book, fine. But don't depend on man's wisdom above the sound wisdom that God releases to the upright. But again, upright folk are not perfect, but they are two types of people. Number one, they are folk who strive to live right. See, God ain't releasing sound wisdom to everybody. He is going to release sound wisdom to people who are striving to live right. And if you're truly upright, you are not just going to live any kind of way and feel like that's okay. Again, we're not perfect, but when we miss it, we want to get it right. Oh, God, let me back up. When I miss it, I want to get it right. Oh, let me say it again. I'm looking for some of you. I said, when I miss it, I want to get it right. I don't want to pretend that it's all right when it ain't right. I want to get it right. If I wrong a person, I don't want to just keep walking by them, ignoring them. I want to get it right with you. If I have an ought against somebody, I want to get that thing right. Why? Because I'm striving to live right. And when I miss the mark, I sincerely desire to do better. Yes, I do. And I know we live in a day and age where folks saying you can do anything, everything is okay now. Folk trying to just draw people into the church with all kinds of false doctrine that allow people to live in sin, yet go on singing in choirs, praying and teaching Sunday school and doing a number of things when they know they are not living right. But if you are truly upright, though you are not perfect, you strive to live a godly life. You strive to live according to the word and the will of God. Am I right about it? You okay with holiness? You okay with sanctification? You okay with coming to church when the doors are open and you're able to be here? Are y'all okay with that? Y'all still okay with the word? Old and New Testament, still okay with it? So you have to strive to live right. And you do so, listen, by applying knowledge and understanding that comes from your God. Notice again, the scripture said, from his mouth come knowledge and understanding. Not literally from the mouth of God, but he's primarily dealing with the prophets. Those anointed men and women of God, listen, whom God chooses to speak through. Those who he loves to talk with in order for them to talk to other people. Now, this is where the church has to be careful, because you don't ever want to get to a place where you feel like I don't need nobody to talk to God for me. I can talk to God for me. Yes, you can talk to God for yourself, but don't you limit God using an anointed vessel to speak to you. Come on, somebody. That makes your pastor relevant in your life. That makes your pastor important to you. And you need to hear from your pastor. That is not belittling you, but it's saying about you, I follow God's divine order. And as long as the pastor is following Christ, then I'm going to follow my pastor. And if somebody got a problem with that, then you are the one that's messed up and not me. I don't have a problem. You got the problem, because I'm doing it God's way. Oh, I ought to be getting some praise up in here, because a good pastor is a gift to you. A good pastor will benefit your life. A good pastor will help you out. A good pastor will save you money. A good pastor will save you some headache. A good pastor will keep you from going down a road that's going to mess up your life. I'm here to help you. Shout to somebody if it be true. Thank God for my pastor. Thank God. Whoa, look at 3 more 4 and tell them, thank God for my pastor. Thank God for my pastor. The mouth of God, the one God speaking through. And you know what I'm going to do for my pastor? I'm going to pray for my pastor. God keep speaking through pastor. God keep giving pastor what the whole house needs. Am I right? So it's that mouth of God. God choosing to speak through somebody. And again, we don't want to get like old backslid in Israel when they came to Moses and said, cannot we talk to God for ourselves? And God had to break it down to some folk. You say, well, Pastor, that's the Old Testament. I don't care. It's still in the book. He had to tell a group of folk, look, yes, I speak to you, but I don't dare talk to you the way that I talked to Moses. There is a difference in how God will speak to a shepherd because he or she is responsible for leading the sheep. That's the reason a good pastor, y'all just don't understand, a good pastor has to go through certain things that are painful, that are hurtful, in order to know how to lead the sheep. I don't just experience blessings from being a pastor. I also experience heartache from being a pastor. I experience disappointment. I carry other people's burdens, and I pray for folk that get weary in carrying their own burdens that God will sometime lay on my shoulder. That's what a good pastor do. That's when you have to appreciate a good pastor. Because there are times that you get weak, that the prayers of a good pastor will see you through. The prayers of a good pastor will keep you out of divorce court. The prayers of a good pastor keep something from getting taken from you that God don't want you to lose. Am I right? Because again, in our day and time, you got men and women of God that don't even care about the sheep. So again, the upright strive to live right. They apply, listen to me, they apply knowledge and understanding. Yeah, they're upright, amen. Yeah, they shout and get happy doing the proclamation of the word of God. But for an upright person, it just don't stop there. Some of us, we do our thing at church, and then when we leave church, it's like a switch that goes off. Done with the church thing. He brought out some excellent points today. And from 10:15 to 12:30, he got my full attention. But when I leave the house of God, I'm going to do things my way. Listen to me, if I'm speaking to you, that's the wrong attitude to have. You have to apply the word at church and outside of church. Tell somebody, he right about it. You have to apply the word. Listen, in good times and in not so good times. See, right over here, didn't hardly get no claps. I mean, right over here behind the mother section, didn't get no claps. Because you know, some of us that got you, that hit you. You will apply that word as long as things going good. But see, you have to apply the word when you in your most challenging times. You still have to be the person that say, I'm going to apply this word. Things are tight at the house, but God, I'm still going to give you your money. I hadn't robbed you and I don't know when, and just because it's getting tight does not mean I'm about to start right now, because God will allow things to get tight just to show you where your mind is really at. You'll be in need of something, and folk can be telling you they're going to bless you, they're going to do this, that, and the other, and man, you really in need. They don't even understand. You need something, but they slow poking around, not doing what God told them to do. You can't start robbing God. You can't start cheating God of the tithe and the offering. You can't change what he said from 10 to 5 just because you think it's going to make it a little ease on you. The devil is a lie. I got to apply the word when things are tight so I can be a real example for somebody. Come on here, somebody. Somebody that's going to give. It don't matter what's going on. Am I right? Sometimes things get tight and supervisor done promise a raise and you keep going to, we're going to get that raise yet. We're going to get that raise. Keep looking for a bonus. Come on. Some of us right now, we waiting on them IRS checks. Waiting on them. Calling, checking, seeing what is going on. Why that thing ain't came yet. Come on, God is not above allowing every one of us to get in a tight spot. Woo-wee. And when he know it's tight, it's all get out, which means you can't get out of it on your own. He'll step in and check your attitude. He'll look at how you treating people, because some of you treat folk really bad because of what you going through. You taking it out on other folk. God ain't pleased with that. I might as well drop this one on you. Some of us, our tolerance level for trouble is high when things going our way. It's amazing how you can just deal with people and things when stuff going your way. It just don't bother you. I ain't gonna let it bother me. You didn't hear what she said about you? Oh, I'm going to pray for her. But let things get rough. We then have a low level of tolerance for people and things. Number two, an upright person is those who strive to avoid foolishness. You are not upright if you're still in love with foolishness. You're not an upright person. An upright individual will strive to avoid foolishness. An upright person is not going to hang with a bunch of fools. No way. An upright person will not tell you stuff like their best friend, the very person they the closest to in the whole wide world is a sinner. Ain't no righteous or upright person gonna be that closely connected with no sinner. No. And some of you upset. I know you do not agree with it, but the Bible says, how can two walk together except they be agreed? How can your friend be going west while you're going east, but that don't hinder the relationship? The devil is a lie. When you upright, you strive to avoid foolishness. You are just a person that when it comes to your life, you just don't have. Show me a family that don't have values and rules, and I'll show you a dysfunctional family. Because if anything gonna function properly, it must have rules and boundaries. You can't have people coming in doing what they desire to do. You have to be taught what is the correct way to do things, even a correct and wrong way of thinking. Come on. Just because you shacking don't mean you look for a church that agree with shacking. No, you stay there. Let that word clean you. Let that word cleanse you. Some of us glad we fell in a church where the word cleansed us. Are you glad you didn't fall in a church where they were promoting your sin? Or you still be in your mess till today? Y'all know I'm right. Some of us fell off in a church and it was like somebody done told the preacher everything we were doing. He had the whole 411 on us. Do y'all remember that? I know I do. I'll never forget it. But listen. Demonic wisdom, worldly wisdom. And this third one is what's going to get some of y'all. Man's wisdom. Do you know sometimes God's wisdom is the direct opposite of man's wisdom? That's what you mean. I mean, a doctor can go to school for 8 years and study and tell you you'll never be healed because there's no cure to what you have. Come on. And will show you in a book wrote by another man. In particular, a man that is their mentor. Y'all know I'm dealing with this thing. And will explain to you why you can never be healed and how there is no case study of anybody ever being healed of what you're battling. Even if they think they get healed, they will rescind back into the disease because there is no cure. But then all of a sudden you will come to church and hear a bald-headed preacher tell you that by his stripes you are already healed and that healing is the children's bread and that you have a right to be healed. And then now man's word is in direct contradiction to what. You see what I'm saying? You see how the wisdom of man can be in direct conflict with the wisdom of God. God will even take the wisdom of man and make it to be foolishness when it comes to his people. remember a man wisdom told me one time, plain as day, unless you file bankruptcy, you will never come out. He said never. Or the person I talked to said, you will never come out. Say bankruptcy is your only option. But I didn't do like a lot of, I didn't just go signing papers without praying. I said, Lord, if this is the way I have to go, because a lot of our problems were not trials, a whole lot of it was just us being undisciplined. Oh, I know you don't want to admit that. But that's what I had to admit. So I told God, I said, if this is the way out, so be it. I'll drop my pride and do what I have to do. But I have to know that it's your will. And then God says to me, you don't have to go that route. You can give your way out of it. Your giving will change your living. And so now what a man told me about bankruptcy is in direct conflict with what God is telling me. God saying, give and it shall be given. Good, pressed, shaken, and running. Tell your neighbor, I don't care what you're going through this morning. If you are give, God will cause it to come back. Boy, some of us that battling, we should have got happy. That was your rhema. You got to give your way out. You can't think your way out. You can't work your way out. Some of us, we coming out through our giving.